After the old man with the surname Chun was cut in two, everyone's gaze shifted to Duan Ling Tian in unison. All of the Lu clan's elders and disciples were shocked. They did not expect their Lu clan's first interim advisor to not only have a shocking achievement in medicine refinement Dao, but his achievement in the martial Dao was equally as shocking. In just a blink of an eye, he had killed the 4 out of the 5 enemies Lu clan faced. Those 4 were people that even the strongest powerhouses from the Lu clan feared. Elder Duan, Lu Rue, the clan leader of Lu clan, was completely stunned. The others might not know the identity of the person Duan Ling Tian had just killed, but he knew very clearly who they were. Put aside Chung He and Mo Jia, both Ling Qi and that old man with the surname Chun had strength that was not inferior to their former clan leader. Both were powerhouses at the 4th-level martial monarch stage. However, these 2 4th-level martial monarch stage powerhouses were killed by Elder Duan in just a blink of an eye. Young master, Xiong Quan's eyes were burning as he stared at Duan Ling Tian hovering in the distance. That was his young master. How powerful. Feng Tian Wu's beautiful and delicate face changed a little. It was obvious that Duan Ling Tian's strength had taken her by surprise. Even Lu Qiu, the former clan leader of the Lu clan, could not help but gasp. He was completely shocked by the strength Duan Ling Tian displayed. With Elder Duan's strength, it seems as easy as slaughtering a chicken or cutting grass for him to kill those 2 whose strength was on par with mine. If he really wants to, I think he can kill me with just a snap of his fingers. Lu Qiu's feelings were in turmoil, and his gaze was complicated. The entire place fell silent. Everyone's eyes were drawn to Duan Ling Tian's hands. Although they could not catch Duan Ling Tian's movement earlier, they were lucky enough to see the weapon in Duan Ling Tian's hands. Duan Ling Tian stood there haughtily as his purple robe fluttered even though there was no wind. He was holding a 3-foot-long blade that was condensed from only God knew what kind of energy. What the hell is that energy? The 3-foot-long blade slowly dissipated and vanished without a trace after everyone's attention shifted to Duan Ling Tian's hands. The heaven and earth energy in the air that was on the verge of turning into the heaven and earth phenomenon also dissipated. Due to this reason, nobody knew how strong Duan Ling Tian was. However, the fact that Duan Ling Tian could kill Lung Qi and the old man with the surname Chun whose strength was in no way inferior to Lung Qi meant that his strength could already be considered as one of the top on Cloud Continent. However, most people's attention was not on this. They were more interested in the 3-foot-long blade that Duan Ling Tian drew out of thin air earlier. The sword Qi that gleamed on the 3-foot-long blade was the sword Profundity. However, they had never seen someone condense the energy into a 3-foot-long blade before. Did you see that? Yeah, I did. The sword in Elder Duan's hand was condensed from a 5-colored energy. I thought my eyes were deceiving me. I didn't think it was real. What energy is that? It must be a profundity. But is there even such a profundity? I've never heard of such profundity before. All of the Lu clan's disciples and elders had a puzzled expression on their faces. None of them could figure out what energy Duan Ling Tian used to condense the sword. They were not the only ones who could not figure it out. What was that energy earlier? Lu Rue's eyes narrowed. He was puzzled since this was his first time seeing an energy with 5 different colors. The 5 different colors were red, blue, green, purple, and khaki. Apart from Lu Rue, even the Lu clan's 3 great guardian elders were bewildered as well. It was already shocking enough when Elder Duan killed their enemies in just a blink of an eye. Now, they could not even discern the energy that condensed the blade in Duan Ling Tian's hands. The 5 colors in the energy seems like 5 type of nature profundities that have merged together. The red one is fire profundity, the blue one is water profundity, the green one is wind profundity, the purple one is thunder profundity, and the khaki one is the earth profundity. Compared to the others, Lu Qiu was more knowledgeable. However, he still felt skeptical even though he knew what it was. It was difficult for him to believe that Duan Ling Tian could simultaneously master 5 types of nature profundities. There also seems to be sword profundity on the sword that's condensed from the 5-colored energy. If that 5-colored energy really represents the 5 types of nature profundities, doesn't that mean he has mastered 6 types of profundities? The more Lu Rue thought about this, the more he was filled with disbelief. Although he knew Elder Duan was the 3rd reincarnation of the Rebirth Martial Emperor from 10,000 years ago, he still could not believe Elder Duan could comprehend 6 different profundities at the 1st-level martial monarch stage. Profundity was different than medicine, refining method, and experience. The latter could be inherited through the past memory, but the former could not. A person would need to rely on his own power to comprehend and communicate with a profundity. In other words, he would need to comprehend all the profundities again from the beginning, even though he was the third reincarnation of the Rebirth Martial Emperor. Due to this reason, Lucio did not believe he would be able to comprehend so many profundities at the first-level Martial Monarch stage. This was not because he looked down on the Rebirth Martial Emperor's reincarnation, but he just found it too illogical. Since Elder Duan is the third reincarnation of the Rebirth Martial Emperor, he must be raising his cultivation base and comprehending the profundities at the same time. By right, it's impossible for him to comprehend so many profundities at just the first-level Martial Monarch stage. If Duan Ling Tian's cultivation base was at the 7th, 8th, or even the 9th level Martial Monarch stage, he would not have found it strange that Duan Ling Tian could comprehend 6 types of profundities. However, Duan Ling Tian was only at the first-level Martial Monarch stage. The first-level Martial Monarch stage meant that he had only made a breakthrough to the Martial Monarch stage recently. He had just broken through to the Martial Monarch stage recently, and he had already comprehended 6 different profundities? Was this even possible? At the very least, he felt that it was impossible. Moreover, even if the 5-color energy is really 5 types of nature profundities, how exactly did they merge so perfectly? Lucio found this part the most confounding. Leaving all the others' profundities aside, just the fire and water were 2 incompatible elements. It was basically an impossible task to merge the water profundity and fire profundity together. Perhaps I've seen wrongly. In the end, this was the only explanation Lucio could come up with. Even if I really saw wrongly, I still have no idea what that energy is. How did the energy allow Duan Ling Tian to kill 2 4th-level Martial Monarch stage powerhouses even though his cultivation base is at the 1st-level Martial Monarch stage? Even until now, he still had goosebumps whenever he recalled the earlier scene. The 2 4th-level Martial Monarch stage powerhouses who were in no way inferior to him died just like that. From the beginning until the end, they did not even have any time to react. Due to this reason, he had an idea of how terrifying Duan Ling Tian's strength was. There was another person whose thinking was more or less similar to Lucio. It was none other than the only remaining person in Chung, his group of 5 people, Olai. Olai was the strongest person in the Northern Mountains O clan. He was at the 4th-level Martial Monarch stage. His strength was on par with Lung Qi, the old man with the surname Chun, and Lucio. Unlike Lucio, he immediately dismissed the idea that the energy Duan Ling Tian used to condense the sword was from 5 types of nature profundities the moment he thought of it. Additionally, he had 0 knowledge of Duan Ling Tian's background. However, he was certain nobody could comprehend so many profundities at the 1st-level Martial Monarch stage, even if he was a variant. Unless that's his innate ability. Olai could only come to such a conclusion. He had no idea when it happened, but his hand that was holding his sheathed spirit saber began to sweat profusely when the purple-clad young man narrowed his eyes at him. The cloth at his back was also soaked with sweat. If Duan Ling Tian attacked him, he was certain he would die. After all, both Ling Qi and the old man with the surname Chun possessed strength that was not inferior to his. I, Olai, have always lived freely throughout my whole life. I didn't expect my life would come to an end here today. However, I have no regrets being able to die in your hands, sir. Olai remarked after he took a deep breath and looked at Duan Ling Tian in the eyes. Based on his words, he seemed to have accepted the fact that he would die. His back was straight as though a saber was placed there. He stood there resolutely. Oh, Duan Ling Tian was about to make his move and kill the remaining person in Chenghe's group. However, he did not expect him to be so firm and unbending in the face of death. Duan Ling Tian had to admit that at this moment, he held a sense of admiration toward the lofty and unyielding character of this person. However, this did not mean that he would show mercy. Everyone had to be responsible for their actions. Whoosh! Duan Ling Tian lifted his hand slowly. Sword Qi appeared, and the 5-colored energy continued to rise up inside the sword Qi, forming the rudimentary shape of a blade. The heaven and earth energy swirled above his head as the heaven and earth phenomenon began to form. Swish, swish, swish. For a moment, everyone, including Duan Ling Tian, looked at the void above Duan Ling Tian. It was obvious they were curious about the heaven and earth phenomenon that would materialize there. The strength Duan Ling Tian displayed previously was enough to send chills running up their spines. Everyone held their breaths as the heaven and earth energy was on the verge of forming. Whoosh! Without warning, the heaven and earth phenomenon on the verge of forming dissipated as the heaven and earth energy proceeded to disappear in the sky. Everyone immediately shifted their attention back to Duan Ling Tian. Why did Elder Duan withdraw his energy? Everyone, including Olai, was perplexed. Where did you get your ring from? Under the watchful eyes of the others, Duan Ling Tian's eyes landed on the old and simple ring that Olai wore on his right thumb. This is a ring that's passed down every generation in our northern mountains, O clan, to the clan leaders. It's said that this ring was passed down from the first clan leader of our O clan 10,000 years ago. Although Olai did not know why Duan Ling Tian was asking this, he replied honestly, I hope you'll return this ring to the O clan after you kill me, sir. If you find it too troublesome, I hope you'll allow the Lu clan to return it on your behalf. Olai looked at Lu Rue when he reached the end of his sentence. Lu Rue glanced coldly at Olai before he turned to look at Duan Ling Tian. Elder Duan, I've also heard about the O clan's ring before. It's only an item that's passed down every generation in the O clan. It only contains sentimental value, and it's not really that valuable. After he had explained to Duan Ling Tian, Lu Rue looked at Olai again before he nonchalantly said, It's unlikely I would help you after all you've done today. However, for the sake of the friendship between the Lu clan and O clan previously, I'll have someone send the ring back to the Lu clan if Elder Duan permits it. Thank you, Olai said gratefully as he bowed earnestly at Lu Rue. He knew his action today deserved more than death. Even his death could not atone for all his crime. However, he would be a sinner in the O clan if he lost the ring that had been passed down for generations. He was extremely unwilling to see that happen. Whoosh! Under the watchful eyes of the others, Duan Ling Tian vanished and appeared before Olai. Before Olai could even figure out what was happening, Duan Ling Tian had already disappeared before his eyes again and returned to his original spot. The first thing Olai did was to look at his right hand. He instantly noticed the ring he wore on his right thumb had disappeared without a trace. Horror dawned on him as he quickly looked at Duan Ling Tian. Sir, why you? When he was about to beg the purple-clad young man to return him the ring, he noticed a hint of warmth in young man's eyes as he studied the ring. Moreover, there was a hint of nostalgia as well. Everyone was confused. They did not know what was happening. Duan Ling Tian shifted his gaze away from the ring to Olai and asked in a deep voice, What relationship do your northern mountains O clan has with O Yizi? O Yizi. The moment this words left Duan Ling Tian's mouth, the people of Lu clan, including Lu Rue the clan leader, were stunned. On the contrary, horror dawned on Olai, and his body began to tremble. He looked at Duan Ling Tian disbelievingly and asked in a trembling voice, How do you know our O clan's ancestor? O clan's ancestor? Duan Ling Tian frowned before asking in a deep voice, Do you mean your northern mountains O clan was actually founded by O Yizi? Elder Duan, don't be deceived by him. Before Olai could respond to Duan Ling Tian's words, Lu Rue quickly interrupted. As far as I know, the Northern Mountains O clan was founded by a grade 1 alchemist named O Jie 10,000 years ago. It was not founded by O Yizi. Moreover, the first 10 clan leaders in the O clan are all clearly recorded in the journals passed down by our Lu clan's ancestors. There's never been such a person called O Yizi. Lu Rue finished his sentence in one breath. Lu Rue, don't jump to conclusion. Olai looked at Lu Rue calmly as he said in a tone that was neither fast nor slow. It's indeed true that O Jie was the one who founded our Northern Mountains O clan. This is, no doubt, a fact that I can't deny. Moreover, it's not just the first 10 clan leaders in O clan. There are no clan leaders with the name O Yizi at all. Olai continued. Since you've already admitted this, why are you still telling me not to jump to conclusions so fast? Lu Rue snorted. Don't forget, just like your Northern Mountains O clan, our Northern Mountains Lu clan is also a family that has a 10,000 years legacy. You'll have to go through us if you want to deceive Elder Duan. I admit that O Yizi was not a clan leader, but he's an ancestor of our Northern Mountains O clan. Olai continued. Please enlighten me. I really would like to see how you're going to keep pretending. The smirk on Lu Rue's face became even wider. Olai did not look at Lu Rue anymore after he gave him a look. Instead, He shifted his eyes to Duan Ling Tian, who stood nearby. Sir, although our northern mountains O clan is not founded by O Yi, it's actually closely related to him. O Jie, the first clan leader of O clan, was the grandson of O Yi. The ring in your hand was passed down from O Yi to his son. His son was the father O Jie, the first clan leader of O clan. O Jie's father passed the ring to him. Ever since then, this ring has become a family heirloom in our O clan, O Lai said in one breath. How can that be true? Lu Rue jeered. It was obvious he did not believe O Lai's words. On the other hand, Duan Ling Tian was calm. He stared at O Lai as he asked, "Then, what's the name of the person who passed this ring to the first clan leader of O clan?" According to the records passed down by our O clan's ancestors, the father of O Jie, the first clan leader of O clan, was called O Hong. O Lai replied calmly, "O Hong." The moment Duan Ling Tian heard O Lai's words, his eyes narrowed slightly. His heart was in turmoil. He did not expect that something so coincidental could happen. The Northern Mountains O clan was founded by someone the Rebirth Martial Emperor had taught before. Although the Rebirth Martial Emperor had never met the person who founded the Northern Mountains O clan, he knew that person's grandfather and father 10,000 years ago during the Rebirth Martial Emperor's second reincarnation. When the Rebirth Martial Emperor was still in his first reincarnation, other than raising his cultivation base to the Martial Emperor stage, his achievement in the medicine refinement Tao was also outstanding. He even became a royal-grade alchemist in the end. After that, thanks to the 3 lives rebirth technique, his soul that lay dormant for 10,000 years was reincarnated. That was 10,000 years ago from his current reincarnation. During that era, the Rebirth Martial Emperor rose through the ranks quickly due to his past life's memory and medicine cultivation technique and experience. Due to his previous life experience, he could yield twice the result with half the effort. It left him with a lot of free time. Soon after, he began studying the weapons refinement Tao and the inscription Tao intensively. When he was studying the weapons refinement Tao, a grade 1 weapons craftsman named O Yi left a deep impression on him. According to the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memory, that person had reached the threshold of the quasi-royal grade weapons craftsman faster than he did. That person could not break through to the martial monarch stage. That was why he was unable to solidify the quasi-royal grade pill fire and thus failed to become a quasi-royal grade weapons craftsman. During that era, there were not many martial emperors on Cloud Continent, so monarch stage profundity fragments were pretty rare back then. Through the memory of the Rebirth Martial Emperor, Duan Ling Tian learned about the situation back then. According to the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memory, the reason his study of the weapons refinement Tao was so smooth was all thanks to O Yi's guidance. O Yi was the only teacher he acknowledged in his second reincarnation. After the Rebirth Martial Emperor made a breakthrough to the Martial Monarch stage and obtained his first Monarch stage profundity fragment after killing his first Martial Monarch, he wanted to give it to O Yi. Who could have known at that time that O Yi had already left this world? Due to this reason, he had given the profundity fragment to O Yi's only son, Hong Yi. Duan Ling Tian went through the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memory because he found the ring on O Lai's finger familiar. Through the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memory, he discovered he had seen the ring on O Yi in his past life. Due to that, he could vaguely guess that the Northern Mountains O clan had a connection to O Yi. However, he did not expect the connection to be so deep. The Northern Mountains O clan was founded by O Yi's grandson. For O Yi's sake, I'll spare your life this time. Duan Ling Tian regained his senses and glanced at O Lai indifferently. He threw the ring back to O Lai with a raise of his hand. He had obtained many benefits from the Rebirth Martial Emperor as his third reincarnation. For the Rebirth Martial Emperor's sake, he would spare O Lai's life this once. O Lai was ecstatic when he found out he would live, let alone the fact that the ring was also returned to him. However, he quickly calmed down. Was your ancestor good friends with our O clan's ancestor? O Lai asked solemnly as he looked at Duan Ling Tian. This was the only plausible reason he could come up with. You can say so, Duan Ling Tian replied indifferently. Go, leave now. O Lai nodded his head before he quickly turned to leave as though he was afraid Duan Ling Tian would change his mind. Lu Rue was stunned when he saw Duan Ling Tian letting O Lai go, but he remained silent. Looks like that O Yi or something from the O clan must have been a friend of Elder Duan 10,000 years ago. Otherwise, Elder Duan wouldn't have let him go, Lu Rue speculated. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Duan Ling Tian's figure disappeared in a flash before materializing again. As it turned out, he went to collect the spatial rings and profundities fragments from Chung He and the other three. To his surprise, Mojia's profundity fragment turned out to be a sword profundity fragment. Xiongquan. Under all the envious gazes, Duan Ling Tian raised a hand and threw the sword profundity fragment to Xiongquan. Xiongquan caught it excitedly as though he had obtained a rare treasure. He was no longer the rash fellow that had not seen much of the world. He knew without a doubt that the thing his young master gave him was a valuable sword profundity fragment. With this profundity fragment, he could comprehend sword profundity quickly. After he had broken through to the void transformation stage, he would be able to use the spirit fruits to push his cultivation base up to break through to the martial monarch stage in one fell swoop and become a martial monarch. At that time, I'll be able to help my young master. Xiongquan looked forward to what the future would bring. Clan leader Duan Ling Tian looked at Lu Rue, who was staring at the three profundity fragments in his hands. Lu Rue's eyes were filled with a hint of excitement. It was not just him. Even the Lu clan's elders and disciples were staring intently at the three profundity fragments in Duan Ling Tian's hands. Three profundity fragments represented three martial monarch powerhouses. Elder Duan. Lu Rue replied respectfully without delay when he heard Duan Ling Tian calling him. He previously respected Duan Ling Tian due to his identity, but he currently respected Duan Ling Tian due to his terrifying strength. These three monarch stage profundity fragments will be given to the family. Duan Ling Tian raised his arm and threw the three profundity fragments in his hands to Lu Rue as though he was disposing of trash. However, Lu Rue caught it and held it like a treasure. He thanked Duan Ling Tian excitedly. I thank Elder Duan for the gift on behalf of the family. Monarch stage profundity fragments were extremely valuable even for a family like the Lu clan. Only the Lu clan's former clan leader, Lu Qiu, was able to kill ordinary first, second, or third level martial monarch martial artists with his cultivation base at the fourth level martial monarch stage and obtain the monarch stage profundity fragments in their bodies. However, how many martial monarchs could one meet apart from those in second-rate forces in the southern outer land? Lu Qiu would not dare to simply kill a martial monarch even if he truly met one. Who knew if killing a martial monarch would bring trouble to the Lu clan? With him at the Lu clan's estate, the Lu clan did not need to worry if people came looking for trouble. However, could the people from Lu clan avoid going out? Could he protect every single person in the Lu clan at the same time? Due to that reason, Lu Qiu would not kill another martial monarch if it was not necessary. There was no way for him to obtain profundity fragments for the Lu clan if he did not kill martial monarchs. If the Lu clan wanted another martial monarch powerhouse, they would need profundity fragments. Otherwise, it would be very difficult. The three profundity fragments Duan Ling Tian gave to Lu Rue was extremely useful. It was enough to help Lu clan produce three martial monarch powerhouses in the near future. Lu Rue was not the only one who was excited. Most people from the Lu clan were also excited. Clan leader, you don't have to thank me. I'm a simple person. I won't mistreat those who treat me well. Duan Ling Tian smiled faintly. What he meant was obvious. Earlier, the Lu clan had protected him and showed him kindness. He was appreciative of it no matter how it ended. The profundity fragments could be considered as a thank you gift. You can dismiss everyone. Duan Ling Tian glanced at the crowd. All of them were Lu clan's elders and disciples. Everyone's eyes were trained on him. Duan Ling Tian's words were undoubtedly meant for Lu Rue. Lu Rue heard it and immediately dismissed the Lu clan's elders and disciples. Instantly, there were only a few people left on the scene. Only Lu Rue, Lu Qiu the former clan leader, and the Lu clan's three great guardian elders were left from the Lu clan. Elder Duan, Lu Qiu and the Lu clan's three great guardian elders looked at Duan Ling Tian. Their eyes were filled with admiration. Lu Qiu was still slightly composed since he knew about Duan Ling Tian's background. Although Duan Ling Tian was outrageously strong, he reasoned that it was because Duan Ling Tian was the reincarnation of the Rebirth Martial Emperor from 10,000 years ago. That kind of existence was not something he could comprehend. However, the Lu clan's three great guardian elders did not know about Duan Ling Tian's background. Lu Yuan, who was as fat as a ball, blinked his small eyes as he looked at Duan Ling Tian. He asked with a smile on his fat face, Elder Duan, The energy earlier has 5 colors. Is that your innate ability? After Lu Yuan asked the question, Lu Guwei and Lu Ji also turned to look at Duan Ling Tian. They were curious about the matter as well. The 5-colored energy Elder Duan displayed earlier was really terrifying. It was to the extent that he could kill 2 4th-level martial monarch stage powerhouses, even though his cultivation base was only at the 1st-level martial monarch stage. You can consider it so. Duan Ling Tian nodded lightly. He did not bother explaining since they thought he was a variant. We can consider it so. The 3 of them were stunned. They noticed Duan Ling Tian seemed unwilling to discuss it, so they sensibly kept their mouth closed and took turns to leave. Finally, only Lu Rui and Lu Qiu were left from the Lu clan. As for Feng Tian Wu and Xiong Quan, one of them stood beside Duan Ling Tian, and the other stood behind Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian looked at both of them and said, "Clan leader, former clan leader, if there's nothing else, you may leave too. Elder Duan, rest well. We'll take our leave." Lu Rui and Lu Qiu sensibly took their leave. "Young master, your strength." After they left, Xiong Quan looked at Duan Ling Tian with glowing eyes. He was very interested in what happened to Duan Ling Tian in the past 3 months that his strength became so terrifying. "I had a breakthrough in my cultivation methods." Duan Ling Tian smiled a little. "Xiong Quan, you cultivate properly. With the sword profundity fragment and the boost from spirit fruits, you should be able to break through to the martial monarch stage quickly." "Yes." Xiong Quan nodded. "Young master, I'll return to cultivate now." He returned to his room to cultivate the minute he finished speaking. Duan Ling Tian looked at Feng Tian Wu with eyes as gentle as water and asked with a smile, "Tian Wu, how's your strength?" 7th level void transformation. The coldness on Feng Tian Wu's face disappeared when faced with Duan Ling Tian. She blinked her clear eyes and said softly, "I've also comprehended the 4th level monarch stage fire concept. 7th level void transformation. 4th level monarch stage fire concept." Duan Ling Tian lifted his eyebrow in surprise. "This means if you fully exert your strength with a quasi-royal grade spirit sword, your strength is equivalent to the strength of 1 ancient black dragon and 2,000 ancient horned dragons. A 7th level void transformation martial artist's origin energy was equivalent to the strength of 1,000 ancient horned dragons. The quasi-royal grade spirit sword could increase it 1-fold to 2,000 ancient horned dragon strength. Moreover, Feng Tian Wu had comprehended the 4th level monarch stage fire concept that was equivalent to the strength of 5,000 ancient horned dragons. Her fire profundity would elevate her sword profundity to the same level. That meant her sword profundity was at the 4th level monarch stage sword profundity. Similarly, it was equivalent to 5,000 ancient horned dragon strength. In total, it was equivalent to the strength of 12,000 ancient horned dragons. 10,000 ancient horned dragon strength was equivalent to 1 ancient black dragon strength. During the heaven and earth phenomenon, the 10,000 ancient horned dragon silhouettes would manifest as 1 ancient black dragon silhouette. And Feng Tianwu nodded. If she fully exerted her strength, she could exert the strength of 1 ancient black dragon and 2,000 ancient horned dragons. "I didn't expect you to improve so much within 3 months' time," Duan Ling Tian said. "I've improved a lot, but not as much as you did." Feng Tianwu replied. "I'm different." Duan Ling Tian shook his head when he heard Feng Tianwu's words, and he became slightly distracted. His changes in the past few months felt like a dream when he thought about them. "Different?" Duan Ling Tian snapped back to reality when he heard Feng Tianwu's question. He nodded. "Anyway, the same goes for you. Make good use of the time to cultivate. We'll return to the northern desert once your cultivation has improved." Duan Ling Tian continued to say, "After Xiong Quan's cultivation base has improved when we return to the northern desert, we'll cross the Ruo Shui River and head to the inner land." Duan Ling Tian could not help but feel a little excited when he thought about these 2 words. The inner land was nothing to him since he had the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memories from his previous 2 lives, but it would still be his first visit to that place where powerhouses were a common sight. Being there in person was completely different from scouring the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memory. Northern Desert? Feng Tianwu's face tensed when she heard Duan Ling Tian's words. "Are we going to see my father?" She had learned about her past from Duan Ling Tian, so she knew her father was at the Blade sect in the northern desert. Duan Ling Tian saw the uncertainty in Feng Tianwu's face and asked, "Why? You don't want to go?" "No, I just feel a little nervous." Feng Tianwu shook her head. She looked a little lost. "My father, I can't remember anything at all. Do you think he'll be mad?" "Of course not." Duan Ling Tian shook his head. He leaned forward and took a step closer to Feng Tianwu before he reached out to gently stroke her long hair to comfort her. "Don't worry, your father's a nice person." And there was a rare blush on Feng Tianwu's pretty face because of Duan Ling Tian's close proximity. His masculine body caused her heart to beat rapidly in her chest. Go cultivate. Once your cultivation base has broken through to the martial monarch stage, we'll return to the northern desert, Duan Ling Tian said to Feng Tianwu. And Feng Tianwu nodded obediently before she disappeared like a fire elf before Duan Ling Tian's eyes. Finally, only Duan Ling Tian was left standing in the air. He suddenly lifted his arm, and an energy appeared in his hand. The energy had 5 colors. "This is incredible," Duan Ling Tian muttered when he saw the energy in his hand. His breathing quickened involuntarily. A month ago, he had successfully comprehended 3 monarch stage profundities during his strict closed-door cultivation. The first-level monarch stage sword profundity, first-level monarch stage wind profundity, and first-level monarch stage earth profundity. Moreover, his wind profundity would elevate his fire profundity to the same level. That meant he had comprehended 4 monarch stage profundities. Meanwhile, his cultivation base had also improved. He had broken through to the martial monarch stage and successfully become a martial monarch powerhouse. He had also begun to cultivate the 9th form of the 9 Dragons War Sovereign technique, which was also the last form. It was called the Divine Dragon form. Duan Ling Tian was attempting to cultivate the 9th form of 9 Dragons War Sovereign technique, the Divine Dragon form. He began by cultivating the heaven-rank advanced defensive martial skill, the 9 Dragons Barrier, which was a part of the Divine Dragon form. Once the 9 Dragons Barrier was cultivated to the peak, one could transform their energy into 9 divine dragons and wrap them around oneself as a form of protection. It was an extremely powerful defensive martial skill. However, the current Duan Ling Tian had yet to cultivate this martial skill. Even so, the 9 Dragons War Sovereign Technique's 9th form, Divine Dragon form, still shocked Duan Ling Tian. Since Duan Ling Tian had broken through to the martial monarch stage and began cultivating the 9 Dragons War Sovereign Technique's 9th form, Divine Dragon form, he made a shocking discovery. Originally, he could use his wind profundity to elevate his fire profundity. However, he discovered that his fire profundity could also similarly elevate his water profundity. Fire profundity elevating water profundity. It sounded impossible. Who in this world did not know that water inhibits fire and that water and fire were opposing elements? However, Duan Ling Tian managed to elevate his water profundity through his fire profundity to the same level. Maybe it's because fire and water are 2 extremes. Fire at its extreme gives rise to water. This was the only plausible conclusion Duan Ling Tian could come up with. This meant that Duan Ling Tian had comprehended water profundity, sword profundity, wind profundity, earth profundity, and fire profundity. 5 types of profundities. Moreover, all of them were first-level monarch stage profundities. Although Duan Ling Tian's cultivation base was at the first-level martial monarch stage, he had mastered 5 profundities. Even if they were merely at the first-level monarch stage profundity, it was enough to shock everyone. It would not be so shocking if this was the only surprise the 9 Dragons War Sovereign Technique's 9th form, Divine Dragon form, had in store for Duan Ling Tian. However, Duan Ling Tian had also successfully comprehended his Thunder Profundity to the first-level monarch stage Thunder Profundity through the Thunder Profundity fragment. After he comprehended the Thunder Profundity, he discovered the origin energy in his body was emitting a mysterious power when he used the Divine Dragon form's mental cultivation method to cultivate. The nature profundities were the Wind Profundity, Fire Profundity, Thunder Profundity, Water Profundity, and Earth Profundity. These were the 5 profundities Duan Ling Tian had comprehended. Initially, Duan Ling Tian did not expect the mysterious power from the Divine Dragon form to affect the 5 nature profundities. Soon after, he was shocked when he discovered the 5 nature profundities had fused into one due to the mysterious power and turned into a completely new type of energy. The energy was in the form of a profundity, but it was different from an ordinary profundity. One might wonder why it was different. It was because the new five-colored energy possessed an extremely terrifying strength. Under normal circumstances, if he mobilized 5 first-level monarch stage nature profundities, the strength would be equivalent to the strength of 1 ancient black dragon and 2,000 ancient horned dragons. Put aside the earth profundity's ability to draw support from earth energy or the wind profundity's ability to fuel and amplify the fire profundity. 5 first-level monarch stage nature profundities were equivalent to the strength of 10,000 ancient horned dragons or 1 ancient black dragon. Even with the boost from the earth energy and the wind profundity fueling the fire profundity, it was equivalent to the strength of 1 ancient black dragon and 2,000 ancient horned dragons. Due to that, the scene when he experimented with fusing 5 nature profundities together was still fresh in his mind. After Duanling Tian fused the profundities together, he could clearly remember the scene where he gathered the heaven and earth energy to form the heaven and earth phenomenon. There were 2 ancient black dragon silhouettes. 2 ancient black dragons. There was an additional 8,000 ancient horned dragon strength compared to when he routinely exerted 5 first-level monarch stage nature profundities. Eventually, Duanling Tian discovered the 5 first-level monarch stage nature profundities did not separate after they were fused together and had transformed into a new energy instead. Currently, he could not mobilize a single nature profundity. He could only mobilize the fused nature profundities. And it could also be considered as a profundity, a new profundity. No matter what it is, it's definitely beneficial to me. A smile appeared on Duanling Tian's face. Initially, Duanling Tian was only momentarily happy before he fell deep in thoughts. The new profundity was indeed strong, but how quickly could he comprehend and improve it? Although the 5 nature profundities were not as strong as the new profundity, he could quickly comprehend and improve them through the corresponding profundity fragments. Duanling Tian was quite concerned about this matter. He only heaved a sigh of relief after he discovered he could comprehend and improve the new profundity through any type of nature profundities he had comprehended. In fact, he realized he could comprehend and improve the new profundity even faster if he held 3 different nature profundity fragments in his hands. For example, when he held the wind profundity fragment, thunder profundity fragment, and earth profundity fragment. The only thing I'm uncertain about now is the improvement of the new profundity. It would be amazing if it's like an Emperor stage profundity. Duanling Tian daydreamed. Emperor stage profundity. The first level was equivalent to 2 ancient black dragon strength. The second level was equivalent to 3 ancient black dragon strength. 9th level Emperor stage profundity was equivalent to 10 ancient black dragon strength. If the new fused profundity Duanling Tian had comprehended could rise to the Emperor stage profundity, would that not mean he had mastered an Emperor stage profundity at the martial monarch stage? What did it mean for a martial monarch to master an Emperor stage profundity? The fused profundity was equivalent to 2 ancient black dragon strength, and it was much stronger than ordinary 9th level monarch stage profundities. Ordinary 9th level monarch stage profundities were only equivalent to 1 ancient black dragon strength. Currently, Duanling Tian's fused profundity was equivalent to 2 ordinary 9th level monarch stage profundities. That was equivalent to the strength of 2 ancient black dragons. A first-level martial monarch stage martial artist who mastered 2 9th level monarch stage profundities? Who would believe it? Moreover, apart from the fused profundity, I've also comprehended the first-level monarch stage sword profundity. Duanling Tian muttered in a low voice as his eyes gleamed. First-level monarch stage sword profundity is equivalent to 2,000 ancient horned dragon strength. Additionally, first-level martial monarch stage origin energy is equivalent to 2,000 ancient horned dragon strength, and the quasi-royal grade spirit sword gives an additional 1-fold increase. If I unleash my full strength now, my strength is equivalent to the strength of 2 ancient black dragons and 6,000 ancient horned dragons. Duanling Tian muttered to himself as the smile on his face widened. Ordinary 6th level martial monarch stage martial artists have strength equivalent to 8,000 ancient horned dragon strength if they fully exert their origin energy. With the addition of a grade 1 spirit weapon, it would increase his strength by 88%. That means it would give an additional 7,000 ancient horned dragon strength. Let's say he has comprehended a 6th level monarch stage profundity and 2 first-level monarch stage profundities. All 3 profundities would be equivalent to 11,000 ancient horned dragon strength, or the strength of 1 ancient black dragon and 1,000 ancient horned dragons. All in all, his strength would be equivalent to the strength of 2 ancient black dragons and 6,000 ancient horned dragons. That's about the same as my current strength. Duan Ling Tian had a clearer understanding of his current strength. However, I'm confident I'll be able to kill a 6th level martial monarch stage martial artist if I meet one. Ruthlessness flickered in Duan Ling Tian's eyes. He did not know when, but 9 swords appeared around his body. All 9 swords were hovering around his body and exuded killing intent. Suddenly, Duan Ling Tian called out, 9 Tribulation Sword Control Technique. The 9 swords hovering around his body shot out instantly and transformed into 9 streaks of fast-moving lights. The speed was so fast that an average person would not be able to see it at all. 9 Dragons Radiant Flash. Duan Ling Tian called out without pause. Instantly, each of the 9 streaks of fast-moving light that flew out transformed into 9 divine dragons. There were 81 divine dragons in total. As the 81 pairs of divine dragons' eyes blinked, 162 extremely radiant beams of light shot out and disappeared in the horizon. The speed was so fast that even Duan Ling Tian only managed to capture a trace of it. The Perfection Stage 9 Tribulation Sword Control Technique and the Perfection Stage 9 Dragon's Radiant Flash. I'll be victorious if I use both of them together. Within the time Duan Ling Tian took to raise his arm, the 9 swords that flew out returned and merged into one again before it fell gently into Duan Ling Tian's hands. It was Duan Ling Tian's quasi-royal grade spirit sword that was inscribed with the magical Split Unite formation. This Split Unite formation is not illusory. It doesn't feel like it's from Cloud Continent. I don't even know where the Tempest Sword Monarch obtained it from. The more Duan Ling Tian learned about the Split Unite formation, the more he felt it was extraordinary. It could divide an actual object into 9, and it was not just images. It completely defied logic. Soon, Duan Ling Tian's attention shifted. Now, my spiritual energy has increased in accordance with my cultivation base's improvement to the 1st level martial monarch stage. It's enough to simultaneously control 9 swords. I've officially entered the perfection stage of the 9 Tribulation Sword Control Technique. It's really worthy of being the 9 Dragons War Sovereign Technique's 9th form, the Divine Dragon form. It's really godlike. Duan Ling Tian muttered to himself. There was a smile on his face. Ever since he had broken through to the martial monarch stage, his strength soared as he crossed several levels in just one go. He had reached the stage where he was comparable to a 6th level martial monarch stage martial artist. He could even kill ordinary 6th level martial monarch stage martial artists without too much difficulty. All of it was thanks to the 9 Dragons War Sovereign Technique's 9th form, the Divine Dragon form. According to the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memory, he only knew the 9 Dragons War Sovereign Technique's 9th form, the Divine Dragon form, could give rise to a new type of profundity. However, he did not know what profundity it would be. Through the 9 Dragons War Sovereign Technique's 9th form, the Divine Dragon form, Duan Ling Tian could elevate the water profundity through the fire profundity even though they were conflicting elements. I can't find anything about the fusion of the nature profundities in the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memory. This means even the Rebirth Martial Emperor didn't know this would happen. Duan Ling Tian took a deep breath when he realized he had reached a stage where even the Rebirth Martial Emperor did not reach. Fused profundity. Duan Ling Tian muttered in a low voice when he looked at the profundity in his hand that contained 5 colors with gleaming eyes. I hope you're like an Emperor stage profundity and will add another ancient black dragon strength every time I improve a level. Duan Ling Tian returned to his room after he recovered from the shock. He sat cross-legged on his bed and began to cultivate with his eyes closed. The 9 Dragons War Sovereign Technique, Divine Dragon form. Duan Ling Tian closed his eyes to cultivate with 3 profundity fragments in his hands. They were all nature profundity fragments. There were no sword profundity fragment. In Duan Ling Tian's opinion, it was more important to raise the fused profundity because it had more potential than the sword profundity. Naturally, that did not mean he had given up on the sword profundity. While he comprehended the fused profundity through the 3 nature profundity fragments, He also comprehended the obscure information he memorized from the Sword Dao, contained in the word sword, that was inscribed by Sword Saint Feng Qingyang. He had a strong gut feeling that it would be more reliable to comprehend the Sword Dao left behind by Sword Saint Feng Qingyang, instead of elevating the sword profundity through profundity fragments. Time passed by quietly. In just a blink of an eye, 1 month had gone by. Duan Ling Tian opened his eyes. There was a glint in his eyes. The medicinal efficacy of the rebirth pill in my body completely boiled over when my cultivation base broke through to the martial monarch stage. With the assistance of the rebirth pill's medicinal efficacy, the bottleneck leading to the second-level martial monarch stage has appeared in my body. Give me 1 more month. I'm confident I'll be able to break through to the second-level martial monarch stage. Duan Ling Tian thought as a smile appeared on his face. With the assistance of the rebirth pill's potent medicinal efficacy, his progress at the martial monarch stage could be considered as heaven-defying. Once a martial artist's cultivation base reached the martial monarch stage, they could no longer rapidly improve their cultivation through spirit fruits. Everything would progress slowly and steadily. Naturally, that did not mean there were no shortcuts. Although martial artists at the martial monarch stage or above could no longer rapidly improve their cultivation through consuming spirit fruits, they could speed up their cultivation through all types of pills that were similar to refined spirit fruits made for void transformation martial artists. Naturally, it was only a little faster. It was still lacking compared to the medicinal efficacy of the rebirth pill. The rebirth pill could be considered as the king of all pills. Ordinary pills were not comparable to it. The pills comparable to the rebirth pill were extremely rare and precious pills. They would be no less difficult to obtain than a rebirth pill. Due to this reason, the speed of Duan Ling Tian's cultivation was extremely fast compared to other martial monarch stage martial artists. It had not been more than 2 months since Duan Ling Tian had broken through to the first-level martial monarch stage, but he was confident he would be able to break through to the second-level martial monarch stage in just another month. What it meant was it took him 3 months to break through to the first-level martial monarch stage and subsequently to the second-level martial monarch stage. The speed was too heaven-defying. If word got out, many martial monarchs martial artists would be shocked. By now, Tian Wu should have almost broken through to the martial monarch stage. Duan Ling Tian muttered. Since Tian Wu has not broken through yet, I'll refine some pills. Now that I can condense quasi-royal grade pill fire, I can refine grade 1 pills with even higher purity. Duan Ling Tian's eyes gleamed. There was a wisp of flame in his palm when he lifted his arm. The wisp of flame was different from the grade 1 pill fire he used to condense. The grade 1 pill fire he had was the violet gold pill fire. The flames were purple and twined with gold. However, the current flames were completely golden. More accurately, it was a dark gold flame. Even if 100 alchemists were present, none of them would be able to identify the pill fire. This was because the quasi-royal grade pill fire was superior to grade 1 pill fire. The quasi-royal grade pill fire was also known as the dark gold pill fire. After Duan Ling Tian condensed the dark gold pill fire, he took out his cauldron. When he looked at the cauldron before him, he realized he had forgotten something important. His current cauldron was only a grade 1 spirit weapon. It would not be able to withstand his quasi-royal grade pill fire. I can condense the quasi-royal grade weapon flame now to raise my cauldron's level to the quasi-royal grade. But I don't have enough materials for it. Duan Ling Tian smiled bitterly as he put out the quasi-royal grade pill fire. I'll craft it after we return to the northern desert. Tian Wu should be almost done with her breakthrough. Duan Ling Tian walked out of his room and arrived before Feng Tian Wu's room door. He extended his spiritual energy into the room and easily detected Feng Tian Wu's situation. Just as he had speculated, Feng Tian Wu was on the verge of breaking through to the martial monarch stage. Just a little bit more, and she would successfully break through to the martial monarch stage to become a martial monarch powerhouse. Judging by Tian Wu's situation, she'll probably need a few more days to break through. I'll look for the clan leader and see if the Lu clan has the materials I need. Besides, I can ask the clan leader if he knows which foreign land Force Kuer and Little Fei is in. With that thought in his mind, he left to look for the clan leader of Lu clan, Lu Rue. Lu Rue immediately stopped everything he was doing when he found out Duan Ling Tian had come to look for him. He hurriedly went out to greet him. Elder Duan. Lu Rue greeted Duan Ling Tian warmly as he led him into the main hall of his mansion. Duan Tian seemed to have noticed something. He smiled faintly and congratulated Lu Rue. Congratulations, clan leader. Elder Duan noticed it. The shock was apparent on Lu Rue's face. He had just broken through to the martial monarch stage yesterday. So far, the only person in Lu clan that knew he had a breakthrough was himself. He did not expect Elder Duan, who had only just seen him, would be able to notice his change. He could not help but exclaim, "Truly worthy of being the third reincarnation of the Rebirth Martial Emperor." Duan Tian nodded before he bluntly said, "Clan leader, I came this time to request for some help. Elder Duan, you're too kind. Any request you have, the Lu clan will do its best to get it done." Lu Rue said solemnly without any apprehension. He did not dare to neglect Elder Duan. Even if he disregarded Duan Tian's identity and extraordinary strength, he was only able to break through to the martial monarch stage due to Elder Duan's blessing. Therefore, he was duty-bound to work for Elder Duan. Duan Tian shook his head and said, "It's nothing difficult. I just need some materials. I wonder if Lu clan has it, so I came to ask you." "What materials?" Lu Rue asked. After that, Duan Tian listed the materials he needed. Those materials were required to upgrade his cauldron. Although they were not considered rare in the inner land on Cloud Continent, they were quite rare in the outer land. That was why he was not certain if the Lu clan had it. After all, the Lu clan was just a second-rate force in the outer land on Cloud Continent. "I'll go look for it now. Please wait for a moment, Elder Duan." Lu Rue left in a hurry as soon as he finished speaking. "Clan leader, please stay for a moment." Duan Tian stopped Lu Rue. "Elder Duan, is there anything else?" Lu Rue was puzzled. "Clan leader, do you know of a sect with a volcano and a snow peak in its estate? If I'm not mistaken, all the male martial artists reside near the volcano and the female martial artists reside on the snow peak." Duan Tian asked. "Elder Duan, are you talking about the Yin Yang sect?" Lu Rue immediately asked after he heard Duan Tian's question. "Yin Yang sect?" Duan Tian's eyes brightened. He added, "I'm not sure what it's called. The Yin Yang sect you speak of, do they have a volcano and a snow peak in their estate?" Duan Tian looked at Lu Rue expectantly as his heart began to palpitate. He felt nervous. This concerned the whereabouts of his two fiancées after all. He had not seen those two lovely persons for many years now, and he really missed them in his heart. "Yes," Lu Rue nodded. "As far as I know, only Yin Yang sect's estate has a volcano and a snow peak. The volcano is called Yang Peak, and the snow peak is called Yin Peak. All of the male martial artists are on the Yang Peak, and the female martial artists are all on Yin Peak," Lu Rue said in one breath. "Volcano, Yang Peak, Snow Peak, Yin Peak." Duan Tian's eyes gleamed. He realized there was a high possibility the sect Lu Rue mentioned was the sect he was looking for. "Do you know where the Yin Yang sect is located?" Duan Tian asked urgently. Yin Yang sect's a first-rate force located in the inner land on the other side of Ruashui River. There's a swift boat from the northern mountain land to the inner land every 3 days. The boat belongs to the Yin Yang sect, Lu Rue said to Duan Tian. He did not explain what a swift boat was because he believed Elder Duan definitely knew what it was. Swift boats had existed on Cloud Continent for more than 10,000 years. In his opinion, it was impossible Elder Duan did not know about swift boats since he was the reincarnation of the Rebirth Martial Emperor from 10,000 years ago. Indeed, Duan Tian knew what swift boats were. Swift boats were similar to boats. The difference was swift boats traveled in the air instead of on the water. Swift boats were made from a special material inscribed with a lot of complicated inscription formations and directly powered with high-grade origin stones. Due to that, swift boats were very stable when it flew in the sky. Through the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memory, Duan Tian clearly knew what sort of place the Ruashui River was. Ruashui River was an extremely frightening and dangerous place. It could be said that martial artists below the martial monarch stage would die if they crossed the Ruashui River. Danger lurked in the waters of Ruashui River. In addition to having an extremely shocking gravitational pull, it was also extremely corrosive. One would definitely die one was to touch it. Even an ordinary martial monarch stage martial artist would be pulled into the whirlpool if they encountered it. Not even their bones would be left behind. Swift boats were used because of how terrifying the Ruashui River was. Apart from really strong and confident martial monarchs, no one else dared to cross the Ruashui River. They could only take a swift boat to cross the Ruashui River. Naturally, swift boats were not 100% safe either. Apart from the terrifying Ruo Shui River, bandits were also another major problem. Generally, martial artists who could afford to pay the fee to board the swift boats were cash cows in the bandits' eyes. Therefore, a lot of powerful bandits would take smaller swift boats to rob passing swift boats at Ruo Shui River and profit from it. On Cloud Continent, apart from fighting the heavens, one would also have to fight with the people. Yin Yang sects a first-rate force on the other side of Ruo Shui River. Duan Ling Tian's eyes brightened, and his breathing quickened again. Kuer, little Feier, I'll see you guys soon. Duan Ling Tian muttered to himself. A warm smile appeared on his face. After so many years, both of them would certainly be more beautiful. There was a glint in Duan Ling Tian's eyes. There was a hint of anticipation on his face. He could not wait to be reunited with them. Elder Duan, if there's nothing else, I'll go and have a look, Lu Rue said when he saw Duan Ling Tian was distracted. Duan Ling Tian recovered and nodded. Go ahead. After Lu Rue left, Duan Ling Tian waited at the main hall for Lu Rue. Half an hour later, Lu Rue returned and brought several materials that he needed. Elder Duan, our Lu clan's treasure vault doesn't everything you need. I managed to find some in the former clan leader's collection. Duan Ling Tian nodded and took out his grade 1 spirit weapon cauldron in front of Lu Rue. At the same time, a raging flame appeared in his hands. Weapon flame. Lu Rue's eyes brightened. He had learned that the Rebirth Martial Emperor was not just a powerhouse at the peak of martial Dao and a top alchemist. He was also a top weapon craftsman and inscription master from the journals that his ancestors handed down. Today, he finally saw the third reincarnation of the Rebirth Martial Emperor's weapon flame. However, the weapon flame seemed a little different. Duan, Elder Duan, what's this weapon flame? As far as I know, the color of weapons craftsman's weapon flame should correspond to the grade similar to alchemist's pillfire, right? Why is your weapon flame dark gold? Lu Rue looked at the dancing dark gold flame in Duan Ling Tian's hands in confusion. He had never seen nor heard of such a weird weapon flame. Duan Ling Tian smiled faintly and ignored Lu Rue. He lifted his arm and melted the materials Lu Rue had given him into several pools of liquid. How's that possible? Lu Rue's eyes widened. The shock was written all over his face. It was natural for him to feel shocked. Among the materials he found for Elder Duan in the treasure vault, the Lu clan kept a record for one of them. Nearly 1,000 years ago, a Lu clan ancestor who was a grade 1 alchemist had failed to liquefy that material even after spending 3 days and 3 nights refining it with grade 1 pill fire. However, the dark golden flame in Elder Duan's hands liquefied it in just a moment. A grade 1 pill fire is not inferior to a grade 1 weapon flame. This means it would be difficult for the grade 1 weapon flame to liquefy the material too. Lu Rue's heartbeat quickened. He thought he could hear his own heart beating. At that moment, all he felt was shock. Unless the flame in Elder Duan's hand has surpassed a grade 1 weapon flame? Lu Rue was taken aback. According to the journal handed down by the founder of Lu clan 10,000 years ago, the Rebirth Martial Emperor's attainment in the medicine refinement Dao was already above a grade 1 alchemist. Could it be his attainment in the weapon refinement Dao has also surpassed a grade 1 weapon craftsman as well? The weapon flame he condensed is a higher grade than a grade 1 weapon flame. The more Lu Rue thought about it, the more shocked he became. Lu Rue's thoughts were still spinning when the dark gold flame in Duan Ling Tian's hands enveloped the grade 1 spirit weapon cauldron and liquefied it. The liquid began to boil and roil in just an instant. Who? Following that, Duan Ling Tian did not relax. Instead, he retrieved several materials from his spatial ring before he melted it and mixed it with the existing pools of liquid. In the beginning, the pools of liquids were extremely repellent to each other. However, when the dark gold flame swept out and enveloped them, they quickly merged into one. From the beginning until the end, it only took half an hour. The silhouette of a new cauldron began to form in the dark gold flame. After another half an hour, an entirely new cauldron fell into Duan Ling Tian's hands as the flame vanished. Quasi-royal grade spirit weapon cauldron. Duan Ling Tian smiled in satisfaction when he looked at the cauldron in his hand. It was the first quasi-royal grade spirit weapon cauldron he had refined. This cauldron, Lu Rue finally recovered from his shock at this moment. His gaze did not leave the cauldron in Duan Ling Tian's hands. Lu clan had several grade 1 spirit weapon cauldrons left behind by their ancestors from 10,000 years ago. However, in Lu Rue's eyes, all those grade 1 spirit weapon cauldrons could not compete with the one before his eyes. This cauldron seemed to be better than a grade 1 spirit weapon cauldron. Before Lu Rue could react, Duan Ling Tian made another move. As he lifted his hand, another dark gold flame appeared in his hand. This is pill fire? Lu Rue gulped when he saw the scene before his eyes. Dark gold pill fire. He had never seen nor heard about it before. Soon after, Lu Rue saw Duan Ling Tian retrieving a pile of medicinal materials that he was very familiar with. He recognized them with just one glance. It's medicinal materials to refine grade 1 life recovery pills. Lu Rue was so fascinated with Duan Ling Tian's method of refining medicine that he just stood there staring. He had forgotten about time and everything else. After an hour, Duan Ling Tian raised his arm and smacked the cauldron. The dark gold flame formed a light shield around the cauldron's spout. Instantly, several streaks of light shot out of the spout through the light shield formed by the dark gold flame before it fell into Duan Ling Tian's hand. It was pills. After Duan Ling Tian put his cauldron away, he opened up his hand that contained the pills. There were 10 glowing pills that emitted a strong medicinal aroma. When Duan Ling Tian was about to put the 10 pills he had refined into a pill bottle, a voice entered his ears. Duan, Elder Duan, can I have a look? When he glanced over, he noticed that Lu Rue was staring at the pills in his hands. In reply, a pill shot toward Lu Rue with just a flick of Duan Ling Tian's fingers. Lu Rue reached out and carefully caught the pill in his hand. In the past, he had seen many grade 1 life recovery pills. However, the one in his hand now seemed as though it weighed 1,000 tons. This was because the purity of the pill was extraordinary. Lu Rue shifted his gaze over to Duan Ling Tian and asked, Elder Duan, this grade 1 life recovery pill's purity is more than 97%. He was lucky enough to have seen a grade 1 life recovery pills with 97% purity a month ago. Although it was just a glance, he could tell that grade 1 life recovery pill was inferior to the one in his hand. Duan Ling Tian nodded and casually said, the grade 1 life recovery pills I refined this time only have 99% purity. It's just passable. 99% purity? Just passable? Lu Rue's eyes widened, and the corner of his mouth twitched. He felt like he was on different wavelength from the purple-clad young man standing before him. Something's amiss. Lu Rue seemed to have realized something. Earlier, the number of medicinal materials Elder Duan took out seemed to be the standard number of medicinal materials. To be able to refine 10 grade 1 life recovery pills with the standard number of medicinal materials? Does that mean Elder Duan's success rate of forming pills when refining grade 1 life recovery pills is 100%? Lu Rue was stunned. Clan leader, I plan to refine some of these grade 1 life recovery pills for the clan. However, the clan will have to prepare the materials. Duan Ling Tian said as he looked at a distracted Lu Rue. No problem. No problem. Lu Rue was stunned when he heard Duan Ling Tian's words. When he regained his sense, he hurriedly nodded like a chick pecking on grains. It was as though he was afraid Duan Ling Tian would change his mind. Elder Duan, I'll make the necessary preparation, Lu Rue said. He made a move to return the grade 1 life recovery pill with 99% purity to Duan Ling Tian before he left to make the necessary preparation. Keep it. Duan Ling Tian shook his head. He did not take the pill that Lu Rue handed over. Thank you, Elder Duan. Lu Rue quickly thanked him before he turned to leave in a rush. This was not a joke. It was related to the grade 1 life recovery pills with 99% purity. How would he dare to take his own time? Such pure grade 1 life recovery pills. The effect should be very close to the legendary effect of reviving the dead and regrowing meat. Lu Rue muttered softly to himself as he left. Duan Ling Tian looked at the surging dark gold flame and said under his breath, I can now refine quasi-royal grade spirit weapons that can increase one's strength by 1-fold as long as I have the necessary materials. However, the materials required to refine quasi-royal grade spirit weapons are more complicated compared to the materials needed to refine the quasi-royal grade spirit weapon cauldron. It'll be difficult to obtain them. Duan Ling Tian knew this because of the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memory. Soon after, Lu Rue returned with a large number of medicinal materials to refine grade 1 life recovery pills. There were 30 batches of medicinal materials. After Duan Ling Tian performed blood ownership claim on the spatial ring, He looked at the medicinal material in it. The corner of his mouth twitched when he saw what was inside. Clan leader, are you trying to tire me to death? Elder Duan, don't misunderstand. You just have to refine 10 batches of these medicinal materials. You can consider the remaining as a reward from the Lu clan to Elder Duan. Lu Rue quickly said. Duan Ling Tian understood Lu Rue's intention. It seemed as though Lu Rue had more to say. After a while, he bit the bullet and hesitantly asked, there's one more thing. Elder Duan, I wonder if you'll allow me to summon a few elders to observe as you refine the Grade 1 life recovery pills. Duan Ling Tian nodded before saying, you can. However, I dislike noise and excitement. Apart from that, they have to be Grade 2 alchemists like you. Yes. Lu Rue hurriedly nodded. He left the main hall and ordered someone to summon a few Grade 2 alchemists. The few Grade 2 alchemists in the Lu clan instantly abandoned whatever they were doing and rushed over as soon as they heard they were allowed to observe Elder Duan refine medicine. Who was Elder Duan? A Grade 1 alchemist. An alchemist who could refine pills with 97% purity. They finally had a chance to observe such an alchemist at work. They would not miss this chance unless they had lost their minds. Elder Duan. At the main hall of Lu Rue's residence, Duan Ling Tian was soon surrounded by Lu Rue and 4 other old men. 5 pairs of burning eyes were trained on him. Duan Ling Tian nodded at the 4 old men before he began to refine the Grade 1 life recovery pills. Out of consideration for the 5 men, he deliberately slowed down his movement. Who? The 5 men were fascinated by the refining technique as they observed Duan Ling Tian. They were ecstatic. Duan Ling Tian refined 10 batches of Grade 1 life recovery pills. He used the same refining technique 10 times before he finally stopped. Duan Ling Tian put his cauldron away, and 10 pill bottles appeared in his hand. 10 Grade 1 life recovery pills were stored in each bottle. Duan Ling Tian left the 10 pill bottles at the side and silently left when he saw Lu Rue and the others were mulling over his refining technique. After leaving the main hall, Duan Ling Tian realized that it was already late at night. Wait till Tian Wu breaks through to the martial monarch stage. I'll bring her back to the northern desert. Skywolf Fort, it's time for us to settle the debts between us. Duan Ling Tian muttered as he left Lu Rue's residence. His voice was low, but it was extremely cold. The scene where the Skywolf Fort's 4 great vice fort master led 10 Skywolf Fort's elders to hunt him back then was still fresh in his mind. If it wasn't for the Devil Seal tablet that devilified me and granted me the strength to kill those Skywolf Fort's elders, I would have been reduced to dust on Cloud Continent. There was a cold glint in Duan Ling Tian's eyes. Even after Duan Ling Tian had left, Lu Rue and the 4 Lu clan's Grade 2 alchemists still did not regain their senses. They stood there the entire night. They only snapped back to reality on the second morning. The first one to recover was Lu Rue. Elder Duan's like a god. Lu Rue sighed when he thought of the refining technique that had been deeply carved in his brain. It was only one night, but he felt as though he could almost see the threshold to becoming a Grade 1 alchemist. He just needed one more step before he became a Grade 1 alchemist. Soon after, Lu Rue saw 10 pill bottles neat placed on the table at the side, and his eyes instantly brightened. He put the pills bottles away one by one. The 4 Grade 2 alchemists recovered one after another and asked eagerly, Clan leader, the Grade 1 life recovery pills Elder Duan refined, do they have 97% purity? Lu Rue opened a pill bottle to have a look. His eyes widened. Lu Rue's eyes swept across all 4 Grade 2 alchemists. These Grade 1 life recovery pills. His voice trailed off. Seeing the eagerness on the faces of the 4 Grade 2 alchemists, he gulped before he said, they're all Grade 1 life recovery pills with 99% purity. 99% purity. The 4 Grade 2 alchemists were stunned when they heard Lu Rue's words. Ancient desert city, in the northern desert. At this moment, 4 uninvited guests appeared in the ancient desert city. The person leading the group was an old man with white hair. He left no traces behind as he flew across the sky. It was as though he had completely merged with heaven and earth. Upon closer inspection, one would notice a middle-aged man flying next to him. 3 middle-aged men trailed after them like shadows. These 3 middle-aged men wore a green uniform with the word Sun embroidered on their chests. Above the word Sun, there were 2 other words embroidered in smaller letters. Northern Divergent. In just a blink of an eye, the 4 of them entered the Skywolf Fort. Who's that? The people from Skywolf Fort were on their guards as though they were facing formidable enemies. Northern Divergence, Sun Clan, Sun Zhong. The majestic voice of the white-haired old man in the lead spread out to every corner of Skywolf Fort. Northern Divergence, Sun Clan? Many of the Skywolf Fort's disciples were puzzled. In the Skywolf Fort's inner fort, 6 people rose up in the air. All of them looked dignified. It was obvious they knew the Northern Divergence Sun Clan. They were led by a green-clad old man. Behind the green-clad old man were 4 old men and 1 middle-aged man. Northern Divergence Sun Clan is a second-rate force at the Northern Divergent. What are they doing here at the Skywolf Fort? The green-clad old man was the fort master of Skywolf Fort, Qing Lang. He was puzzled. Master. At this moment, the middle-aged man standing at the back, who was the vice fort master of Skywolf Fort, Master Feng Wei, looked at the old man next to him. The old man was also a vice fort master, and his name was Luo Fu. The Northern Divergence Sun Clan. Isn't it Brother Jean? Yes. It seems like he used the promise he father gave him. Luo Fu nodded and sighed after he interrupted Feng Wei. Luo Fu had a sister. Back then, his sister tried to raise her status by seducing the Northern Divergence Sun Clan's young master. However, she was not even given the title of a mistress. Although she managed to enter the Sun Clan because she was pregnant with a child, she had to stay in the servants' quarter. Moreover, her son was not even qualified to take the surname Sun. The young master back then was the current clan leader of Sun Clan. He had many outstanding sons and daughter, so he did not care about the life and death of an illegitimate son. However, he still promised to fulfill one of the illegitimate son's wishes as long as the wish is not outrageous. This was because the illegitimate son still had his blood running through his veins no matter what. That illegitimate son was Luo Fu's sister's son, who was also Luo Fu's nephew, Luo Jin. Luo Jin was sent to the Skywolf Fort by his mother a long time ago. He was not very talented in the martial Dao, but he was a rampant bully just because his uncle was a vice fort master. In the end, he met with a misfortune and got his Dantian destroyed. Master, you mean Brother Jean brought those people from the Northern Divergence Sun Clan? Feng Wei gasped. That should be it. Luo Fu nodded. Luo Fu confirmed his suspicion when he saw a figure among the group of people. The people from the Northern Divergent Sun Clan were brought by his nephew, Skywolf Fort, Qing Lang. Qing Lang looked at the old man leading the group and bowed slightly. I greet you on behalf of the Vice Fort Masters and the Skywolf Fort, Senior Sunday. Meanwhile, the 5 persons behind Luo Fu followed suit and bowed. Nice to meet you, Senior Sunday. Sun Zhong, one of the 2 martial monarch powerhouses in the Northern Divergence Sun Clan. They had all heard about him. A martial monarch powerhouse was not someone a third-rate force like the Skywolf Fort could afford to offend. Luo Jin, go and ask. Sun Zhong coldly glanced at the middle-aged man he was pulling forward. Luo Jin. Previously, Luo Fu and Feng Wei had communicated through voice transmission. Therefore, Qing Lang was unaware of the matter. Qing Lang only noticed the middle-aged man Sun Zhong brought was Luo Fu's nephew, Luo Jin, when he heard Sun Zhong's words. Fort Master. Luo Jin looked at Qing Lang. However, he was interrupted by Luo Fu the instant he opened his mouth. Luo Fu said in a deep voice, Jiner, have you thought this through? You really want to use the promise like this? You should know that even though your cultivation is destroyed, you can still use the promise to ask your father to guarantee you a carefree and lavish life. Luo Fu advised him. Uncle, you don't have to advise me. Luo Jin shook his head as his face unconsciously turned ferocious. That Duanling Tian must die. If he's not dead, I won't be happy even if I live a lavish life. Lu Fuo sighed when he saw how determined Luo Jin was. He knew he would not be able to persuade his nephew, so he would have to think of another way instead. Duanling Tian. Upon hearing Luo Jin's words, Qing Lang frowned and asked, what's really going on? Duanling Tian. He was not unfamiliar with this name. Apart from taking the first place in the martial competition of the 10 dynasties organized by their Skywolf Fort, he was also close to the young miss with the mysterious background. At that time, the young miss was looking for this person. The young miss even called this man Brother Ling Tian. It made him realize this man was not someone he could afford to offend. However, right now Luo Fu's nephew actually brought people from the Northern Divergent Sun Clan to look for trouble with Duanling Tian. He crippled my Dantian. Luo Jin spat out. Fort Master. I only know he's the champion of the martial competition of the 10 dynasties that was organized by the Skywolf Fort. I don't know his origin at all. Please tell me about his origin, Fort Master, Luo Jin said. Duanling Tian's origin? Qing Lang frowned. He really did not know. Even if he knew, he would not dare to disclose it. If that young miss found out he had betrayed her brother Ling Tian, would she not skin him alive the next time she came here? Senior Sunday. At this moment, Luo Fu looked at Sun Zhong and solemnly asked, "You must have heard of the North Nether sect in our northern desert, right?" "Of course I have." Although Sun Zhong did not know why Luo Fu would ask him this question, he still nodded his head. The North Nether sect is a second-rate force that's more or less on par with our Sun clan. I've even met Feng Tong, the martial monarch of North Nether sect, once. Senior Sun, if I tell you that Senior Feng Tong from the North Nether sect might have been killed by the powerhouse hiding behind Duan Ling Tian, do you still dare to kill him? Luo Fu continued to ask. What? The moment Luo Fu's words left his mouth, horror dawned on Sun Zhong's face at once. Are you serious? I'm willing to swear using the 99 heavenly tribulation, Luo Fu said seriously. At this moment, his heart was filled with a sense of helplessness. If it was not for the fact that he was worried his nephew would become too obsessed with this matter, he would not have warned this Sun clan's martial monarch that had no relationship with him at all. He loathed the Sun clan because of his sister. Naturally, he could only hate them inwardly. He did not dare to reveal his hatred since he was no match for the Sun clan. He was not aware of his nephew's intention to seek revenge from Duan Ling Tian. Otherwise, he would have told his nephew all this to discourage him from seeking revenge. Humph. The moment Sun Zhong heard this, he snorted and glared at Luo Jin. Luo Jin, are you trying to get me killed? When Luo Jin heard Luo Fu's words, colors immediately drained from his face. Now that he heard Sun Zhong rebuking him, he was so scared that his body and legs began to tremble. You're right. Indeed, he wants to get you killed. A vaguely distinct and nonchalant voice reverberated in the air. Everyone immediately turned to look at the source of the voice. They saw two figures, one red and one purple, standing in the distance since who knew when. The young man stood there with his purple robe fluttering in the wind. The woman with a face that could topple the nation stood beside the purple-clad young man as her fiery red dress fluttered like dancing flames. Purple flame, sword followed by a red flame. This pair of man and woman standing there seemed like a pair of golden boy and jade girl that was made in heaven. This was the first thought that rose in their hearts when they saw the pair. Whoosh, whoosh. In the next instance, the purple-clad young man and the red-clad woman walked side by side in the sky. Soon after, they arrived close to the place where the Skywolf Fort and Northern Divergence Sun Clan's people stood. It was a tripartite confrontation. Duan Ling Tian, the five vice fort master, recognized the purple-clad young man, and their faces immediately paled. They did not expect him to appear the moment his name was mentioned. Moreover, it was obvious he did not come to the Skywolf Fort with good intention. The four vice fort masters of Skywolf Fort who had once hunted Duan Ling Tian, Feng Wei, Ning Kan, Meng Li, and Yukong, turned pale and hints of anxiety could be seen in their eyes. They had only found out from Luo Fu that there was someone behind Duan Ling Tian who was capable of killing a martial monarch. The four of them could not help but glance at their surroundings as though they were trying to locate the powerhouse hiding behind Duan Ling Tian's back. Unfortunately, they could not see anyone at all. Qing Lang and Sun Zhong looked at Duan Ling Tian and asked almost simultaneously, "You're Duan Ling Tian? The Northern Divergence Sun Clan?" Duan Ling Tian ignored Qing Lang, but glanced at Sun Zhong indifferently. "I see you have quite a good cultivation base. Second-level martial monarch stage. A lot more powerful than that Feng Tong from the North Nether sect. Second-level martial monarch stage." The moment the words left Duan Ling Tian's mouth, Qing Lang and the five vice fort masters from Skywolf Fort were stunned. Although they had heard Sun Zhong was a martial monarch and number one in the Northern Divergent Sun Clan, they assumed he was only a first-level martial monarch stage powerhouse. It did not cross their minds that Sun Zhong was actually at the second-level martial monarch stage. The second level and the first-level martial monarch stage could not be compared even though it was just a level apart. "You have really good judgment, sir." Sun Zhong was filled with dread when he saw Duan Ling Tian. The fact that Duan Ling Tian saw through his cultivation base in just a glance showed how profound he was. Everything else aside, his instinct alone told him this man was not ordinary. "The reason you traveled so far from the Northern Divergent land is to kill me?" Duan Ling Tian asked as he stared at Sun Zhong. "I dare not." Sun Zhong hastily shook his head. What a joke! Since he already knew Feng Tong, the martial monarch from North Nether sect, had died in this person's hands, he did not dare to admit it. Moreover, He had just witnessed how mysterious this person was. Since you dare not, can you hand him over then? Duan Ling Tian asked nonchalantly. His gaze shifted from Sun Zhong to Luo Jin, whom he was holding. Upon seeing Duan Ling Tian, Luo Jin's face turned vicious again. When he saw Duan Ling Tian looking at him, he shouted at Sun Zhong, "Elder Zhong, don't forget that my father asked you to kill him on my behalf. Kill him now. Quick, kill him." However, Sun Zhong did not seem to care about Luo Jin at all. Instead, he looked at Duan Ling Tian and said, "Sir, he's still the son of our Sun Clan's clan leader no matter what. You can take him with you, but can you at least show some sincerity, sir?" Sincerity? Duan Ling Tian was momentarily stunned. Soon after, he smiled. In the next moment, he turned his head slightly to look at the 4 vice fort masters of Skywolf Fort, excluding Luo Fu, standing behind Qing Lang. "For vice fort masters, you almost took my life away, didn't you?" Ning Can and the other 3 turned pale when they saw Duan Ling Tian staring at them. Qing Lang frowned the moment he heard Duan Ling Tian's words. He was about to ask if there was some sort of misunderstanding since he was unaware of the incident where his 4 vice fort masters hunted Duan Ling Tian. However, he was interrupted before he could continue to ask. Whoosh! The sound of sword whistling in the air interrupted him. He was shocked to discover the 4 vice fort masters Duan Ling Tian was staring at had a bloody hole on their throats. Dazzling red and fresh blood gushed out of the bloody wounds. A few moments later, the 4 bodies fell to the ground. The 4 great vice fort masters of Skywolf Fort had all died in just a blink of an eye. From the very beginning to the end, all Qing Lang heard was the sound of sword whistling that disappeared as soon as it appeared. He did not see any evidence of Duan Ling Tian making a move at all. Everyone was still shocked when Duan Ling Tian looked at Sun Zhong and sneered. He calmly asked, "Is this sincere enough?" In Sun Zhong's eyes, the smile on Duan Ling Tian's mouth was no different from a devil's smile. At this moment, all Sun Zhong felt was a sense of coldness that crept up from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head. "It's enough? It's enough." Sun Zhong hurriedly nodded. He lifted his hand and threw Luo Jin to Duan Ling Tian. "Sir Duan, I'm sorry for offending you. I hope you'll forgive me." Sun Zhong's forehead was clammy from cold sweat. It was his first time encountering such a terrifying powerhouse. Who the hell said Duan Ling Tian had a powerhouse hidden behind him who killed Feng Tong? It was all false. Duan Ling Tian himself was already a terrifying powerhouse. Among all the people present, he was the only who saw Duan Ling Tian lifting his hand. However, he did not see the part where Duan Ling Tian's sword ray shot out and pierced the throats of the 4 great vice fort masters. At that moment, he knew it would be easy for Duan Ling Tian to kill him. Good. Duan Ling Tian caught Luo Jin easily. Luo Jin did not even have time to catch his breath before he was thrown into the big combat ring situated in the Skywolf Fort's outer fort. Whoosh! Luo Jin, whose dantian had long been crippled, and thus lost his origin energy, dropped down at increasing speed. "Uncle, save me! Uncle, save me! Please! I don't want to die! I don't want to die!" Luo Jin, who was terrified by the way Duan Ling Tian dealt with things, finally regained his senses when he was thrown by Duan Ling Tian. Horror dawned on his face as he screamed for help from Luo Fu at the top of his lungs. Luo Fu took a deep breath as he painfully closed his eyes. A hint of bitterness could be faintly seen on the corner of his mouth. Although he wanted to save Luo Jin, he could not do anything at all. With the strength that Duan Ling Tian currently possessed, it would be as easy as killing a chicken or cutting grass for Duan Ling Tian to kill him. If he saved Luo Jin, not only would he fail, he would be forfeiting his life as well. Due to this reason, he could only watch idly. His own life was the most important after all. Bam! Luo Jin was still screaming up to the moment he fell on the combat ring. His body slammed viciously on the ground, turning into a pulpy and bloody mess. Silence immediately descended on the scene. "Luo Fu, what's going on really?" Qing Lang's voice finally broke the silence. Qing Lang looked at Luo Fu fiercely. "Didn't I warn all of you previously to not mess with Duan Ling Tian no matter what?" Duan Ling Tian glanced at Qing Lang indifferently when he heard him admonishing Luo Fu. In his opinion, Qing Lang was only saying this to save his own life. "Fort Master," Luo Fu smiled wryly. "Long before you warned us, those 4 people had already offended Duan Ling Tian. After the martial competition of the 10 dynasties ended, 4 of them brought 10 elders with them to chase Duan Ling Tian so they could kill him." "What? Horror dawned on Qinglang's face. He narrowed his eyes immediately. You already knew about this? Luofu nodded as he smiled wryly. Great. That's just great. Qinglang glared at Luofu and asked in a deep voice. Then, when Miss Xue and I came to the Skywolf Fort and mentioned Duanling Tian, why didn't you tell me about this? Did you think this was a small matter? When Qinglang reached the end of his sentence, killing intent rose from his body. Miss Xue and I? The moment Duanling Tian heard Qinglang's words, he raised his eyebrows in shock. The Fort Master of Skywolf Fort knew Xuanai? Fort Master, we heard how Miss Xuanai addressed Duan Ling Tian as Brother Ling Tian. Moreover, you're so respectful toward her. We didn't dare to tell you because we were scared you'd rebuke us. The smile on Luo Fu became even wryer. Boom. The moment these words left Luo Fu's mouth, a vast origin energy and 9th level void transformation concept that trailed behind like a shadow instantly enveloped Luo Fu. In just an instant, Luo Fu had turned to dust and vanished from this world. After killing Luo Fu, Qinglang bowed at Duanling Tian and announced loudly, I'm not strict enough with my subordinates. Even death is not enough to atone for their recklessness. Please punish me, Sir Duan. Duanling Tian looked at Qinglang and said nonchalantly, If you really feel guilty, why don't you kill yourself now? Qinglang did not expect such an answer from Duanling Tian. His body trembled as horror dawned on his face. Humph, save your acting in front of me. Duanling Tian snorted. You already know I won't kill you. And yet, you're still putting on a show. Don't you think it's disgusting? Upon hearing Duanling Tian's words, Qinglang heaved a sigh of relief and immediately flattered Duanling Tian. Sir Duan is really wise. However, Duanling Tian did not like this sort of stuff. Duanling Tian ignored his flattery and changed the topic. You know Xuanai? Yes. Qinglang nodded respectfully. He knew that his savior today was that young miss. Do you know about Xuanai's background? Duanling Tian asked again. No, I don't. Qinglang smiled wryly. I only know that young miss. I mean, Miss Xuanai's identity is not that simple. The one by her side is a powerful person from my clan. If we take seniority into consideration, then you can say she's my ancestor. Duanling Tian raised a brow as he asked. Qing knew. Yes, that's how Miss Xuanai addresses her. Qinglang responded respectfully. When have you seen Xuanai before? Duanling Tian asked again. Duanling Tian learned a few things from Qinglang. Originally, when he was still in the 5-element sect, Xuanai had come to the Skywolf Fort and asked for his whereabouts. After that, Xuanai wanted Qinglang to bring her along to search for him, but the search was not fruitful. In the end, Qingnu appeared and brought Xuanai away. You mean, there's another young lady besides Xuanai? Duanling Tian asked curiously. Yes. Qinglang nodded. That's enough, leave. Since I've already killed the initiators of this evil, and for the sake of your close relationship with Xuanai, I'll not make things difficult for you in Skywolf Fort anymore. Duanling Tian said, and waved his hand dismissively. Yes, Qinglang replied, and immediately left. He did not dare to delay since he was afraid Duanling Tian would change his mind and kill him. After Qinglang left, Duanling Tian looked at Sun Zhong, the Martial Emperor of the Northern Divergence Sun clan. Sir Duan. Sun Zhong bowed respectfully. The 3 people behind him bowed as well. There was a hint of dread in the depth of their eyes. If they had known their target was this terrifying, they would not have come even if it meant disobeying the clan leader's order. It was fortunate this powerhouse did not seem to have any intention of finding trouble with them. What? You still insist on staying here? Are you not planning to scram back to your Northern Divergence Sun clan? Are you waiting for me to treat you to lunch? Duanling Tian asked calmly. No. Upon hearing Duanling Tian's words, Sun Zhong was struck by anxiety. Sir Duan, we're returning to the Northern Divergent land now. We're making our move now. Sir Duan, we'll surely welcome you with open arms if you have the time to visit. The moment Sun Zhong finished his words, he hastily brought the 3 people with him and left as fast as lightning. They disappeared into the horizon in just a blink of an eye. Finally, there were only Duanling Tian and the red-clad woman left in the sky. That red-clad woman was none other than Feng Tianwu. From the beginning until the end, Feng Tianwu just stood quietly next to Duanling Tian. The coldness on her extremely beautiful and delicate face began to dissipate after everyone had left. Oh, I almost forgot something. A light bulb went on in Duanling Tian's mind. In the next instance, he disappeared from the spot, leaving only Feng Tianwu standing at the same spot, quietly waiting for him. Inside Skywolf Fort, Fear still lingered around Qing Lang after he had descended. As expected from the person that young Miss calls brother, he has become so powerful in such a short time. He even managed to scare Sun Zhong, who is at the second-level martial monarch stage. This means his cultivation base must be at the fourth-level martial monarch stage at least. Qing Lang speculated. Who's that? Suddenly, Qing Lang came to halt, as though he had noticed something. Horror dawned on his face immediately. A purple figure had suddenly appeared in front of him. Sir Duan. When Qing Lang took a good look at the intruder, he heaved a sigh of relief. He asked respectfully, "Is there anything else you need, sir?" "Where the location of Blade Sect." The person in front of Qing Lang was none other than Duan Ling Tian. The main reason he went after Qing Lang was to find out where Blade Sect was located. His next stop was the Blade Sect. The Blade Sect? Qing Lang did not dare to delay, and quickly disclosed the direction of Blade Sect to Duan Ling Tian. After Duan Ling Tian found out about the Blade Sect's location, he left in a rush. In Qing Lang's eyes, it was as though he had disappeared into thin air. "Let's go." Tian Wu, Duan Ling Tian, who had just returned to Feng Tian Wu's side, motioned to her. They immediately made their way to the Blade Sect. Although there was quite a distance between the Skywolf Fort and the Blade Sect, with Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tian Wu's cultivation base at the martial monarch stage, they quickly arrived at the Blade Sect's estate. Uncle Feng, hovering on the air above the Blade Sect's estate, Duan Ling Tian's voice that contained origin energy spread to the entire Blade Sect's estate. The entire Blade Sect's estate burst into an uproar. "Who's that? How dare you cause a ruckus in our Blade Sect? Humph! Who is this blind person who dares to make trouble in our Blade Sect? Let me teach him a lesson. Let's go. Let's teach him a lesson on why the rose is red." All of the Blade Sect's disciples rose up in the air and headed toward the source of the voice in a menacing manner. They saw the two people standing in the air above the Blade Sect's estate. However, they were stunned when their eyes shifted to the red-clad woman. "It's Junior Sister Feng. It's really Junior Sister Feng. Junior Sister Feng's back." Many of the Blade Sect's disciples recognized Feng Tian Wu. Feng Tian Wu used to be a Blade Sect's disciple after all. Feng Tian Wu's delicate face that could topple the nation immediately turned cold when she saw so many people looking at her. Her body exuded a blood-curdling aura that stunned the disciples. What's wrong with Junior Sister Feng? Why does it feel like Junior Sister Feng has become strange? It must be the fault of that pretty boy next to her. Many of the Blade Sect's disciples began to glare at Duan Ling Tian. Junior Sister Feng was the girl of their dream. Now that she was reduced to such a state, how could they not be mad? "You lad, give me back my Junior Sister Feng." A Blade Sect's disciple flew out, wanting to attack Duan Ling Tian. With this guy at the lead, many people followed suit and charged toward Duan Ling Tian as well. However, before these people got remotely close to Duan Ling Tian, they had already been enveloped and suppressed by a vast rolling flame. They would most likely end up dead if the flame continued to envelop them. At this time, Duan Ling Tian said, "Tian Wu, have mercy." The person suppressing this group of Blade Sect's disciples trying to attack Duan Ling Tian was none other than Feng Tian Wu. Feng Tian Wu, who had lost her memory, only accepted Duan Ling Tian alone. Duan Ling Tian was her everything and even more precious than her own life. Nobody could even think about hurting him at all. Whoosh! The moment Feng Tian Wu heard Duan Ling Tian's voice, she withdrew her vast rolling fire profundity. After she withdrew her fire profundity, the Blade Sect's disciple tried to catch their breath. Some of them were even covered in soot. Since when did Junior Sister Tian Wu become so strong? Soon after, they made a shocking discovery. These group of Blade Sect's disciples was all in their middle age. Although they knew their Junior Sister Tian Wu was innately talented previously, her strength was still not comparable to theirs. However, today, they were easily suppressed by their Junior Sister Tian Wu. When the group of Blade Sect's disciples was at a loss about the situation, many more figures appeared. They were the Blade Sect's senior officials. The sect leaders of Saber Sect and Sword Sect were here as well. Saber 5 and Sword 13 trailed after them like shadows. A silhouette that Duan Ling Tian was extremely familiar with was with them as well. Duan Ling Tian immediately looked at the person standing behind the group of Blade Sect's senior officials. He smiled and greeted, "Uncle Feng, Ling Tian." The person whom Duan Ling Tian took the initiative to greet was Feng Wu Dao, Feng Tian Wu's father. At this moment, The people who used to be close with Duan Ling Tian, like Saber 5 and Sword 13, could sense that Duan Ling Tian was ignoring them. It was as though he did not see them at all. Even the sect leaders of the Saber and Sword sect felt a little embarrassed when they looked at Feng Tianwu. In the past, when the three great second-rate forces martial monarchs paid a visit to them and asked about Duan Ling Tian's background, they had betrayed Duan Ling Tian in order to save their own asses. Ever since Feng Tianwu left the Martial Emperor's secret treasure, she had not left Duan Ling Tian's side. All of them knew this very well. Therefore, betraying Duan Ling Tian meant that they had also betrayed Feng Tianwu. Due to this, they felt a little guilty and ashamed when they looked at Feng Tianwu. Soon after, Feng Wu Dao noticed Feng Tianwu. He smiled and flew to her in an instant. However, in the next moment, the smile on his face faltered when he realized Feng Tianwu's gaze was a little different. It looked cold and confused as though she was looking at a stranger. When Feng Wu Dao realized something was wrong, he immediately turned to Duan Ling Tian and asked, Laddie Ling Tian, what's going on? Uncle Feng, Tianwu temporarily lost her memory. However, please don't worry. Just give me a little time. I'll be able to restore her memory. Duan Ling Tian replied truthfully and reassured him. What? Lost her memory? How did this happen? Horror dawned on Feng Wu Dao's face. Feng Tianwu looked at Feng Wu Dao and asked in a hesitant, softened voice, Why, you're my dad? Her tone was cautious. Yes, it's me. I'm your father. Feng Wu Dao immediately replied. He turned to look at Duan Ling Tian unhappily. Laddie Ling Tian, what's going on? How did Wu lose her memory suddenly without any reason? Uncle Feng, it's a long story. Although it was a long story, Duan Ling Tian told him everything without any reservation. It's my fault for not protecting Tianwu properly. After Duan Ling Tian finished retelling the story, he sighed with a guilty expression on his face. Then, does this mean the fire spirit body's energy inside Wu is now gone? It's no longer a threat to her. This was the matter Feng Wu Dao was most concerned about. The fire spirit body in his daughters had always been the source of his worries and headaches. Now that he found out his daughter no longer had a fire spirit body, he heaved a sigh of relief like he had been relieved of a burden he had been shouldering for many years. Yes, Duan Ling Tian nodded. In a way, this is a blessing in disguise. I don't blame you for this matter. A rare smile appeared on Feng Wu Dao's face. As for Wu's memory, I'm sure you'll be able to help her regain her memory eventually. Don't worry, Uncle Feng. I'll definitely help Tianwu regain her memory. Duan Ling Tian replied earnestly. However, how did those martial emperors from the three great second-rate forces find out both of you were in the Darkhan dynasty? How did they know both of you were in the Crimson Sky Kingdom? Feng Wu Dao was puzzled. Well, we must thank a few people in the Blade Sect for this. Duan Ling Tian looked at the group of Blade Sect's senior officials, including Saber 5, Sword 13, and the sect leaders of the Saber and Sword sect, and sneered. Previously, when they heard Duan Ling Tian managed to escape from the evil clutches of the three martial monarchs, the Blade Sect's senior officials were filled with disbelief. In their opinion, this was impossible. When they had disclosed Duan Ling Tian's background to the martial monarchs from the three great second-rate forces, they were certain Duan Ling Tian would die. Thus, they were shocked when they saw Duan Ling Tian again. Initially, they assumed Duan Ling Tian was not caught by the martial monarchs from the three great second-rate forces because he was simply not in the Darkhan dynasty. That was probably how he escaped his doom. After hearing the exchange between Duan Ling Tian and Feng Wu Dao, they realized Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu had encountered the martial monarchs and escaped from them. However, they had no idea how Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu managed to do that. Duan Ling Tian had breezed through the most important part, and only said that he and Feng Tianwu had dodged the crisis, but they had to pay quite a hefty price for that. Feng Tianwu had lost her memory because of that. Duan Ling Tian, it's indeed our Blade Sect's fault regarding this matter. We won't deny this. The sect leader of Saber's sect sighed and said regretfully, However, if we didn't do as we were told at that time, the Blade Sect would have been annihilated. We had no choice at all. That's right, we had no choice at all. At once, many of the Blade Sect's senior officials chimed in as well. No choice at all. The smirk on Duan Ling Tian's mouth widened as his eyes swept across the sect leaders of the Saber sect and Sword sect, Saber 5, and Sword 13. Isn't it because all of you fear death? The moment Duan Ling Tian's words left his mouth, the sect leaders of Saber sect and Sword sect turned pale immediately. Saber 5 and Sword 13, on the other hand, had a guilty expression on their faces as they smiled wryly. Duan Ling Tian, just because you're lucky and managed to escape from the powerhouses of the 3 second-rate forces, don't think you're really powerful. This is the Blade Sect. It's not a place where you can simply cause a ruckus. The sect leader of Sword Sect shouted out of embarrassment. It's not a place where I can simply cause a ruckus? Really? Duan Ling Tian snorted. You're looking for death. The sect leader of Sword Sect originally had a bad temper. Now that Duan Ling Tian had enraged him, he could no longer hold back and released his origin energy. The 9th level advanced sword concept and the other 9th level advanced concepts followed closely like shadows. Whoosh! The sect leader of Sword Sect seemed to have transformed into a gigantic sword that was about to fall on Duan Ling Tian and cut him in half. Please have mercy, sect leader. Horror dawned on Sword 13. Although he wanted to rescue Duan Ling Tian, it was too late. Idiot! Duan Ling Tian spat out this one word unhurriedly. He casually lifted one of his hand and punched out to intercept the attack. Boom! In just an instant, a 5-colored energy soared up from Duan Ling Tian's punch. It was his fused profundity. Fused profundity burst out like a gigantic beast with an open and bloody mouth and collided head-on with the gigantic sword the sect leader of Sword Sect had transformed into. It swallowed the gigantic sword in just a mouth. In just a second, the rolling fused profundity shrouded the gigantic sword the sect leader of Sword Sect had transformed into without leaving any trace behind. Whoosh! Without warning, the menacing fused profundity quivered before it vanished before everyone's eyes. Duan Ling Tian withdrew it smoothly. Silence. The entire place fell silent. The only sound they could hear was the heaving breathing from the Blade Sect's senior officials. The sect leader of Sword Sect from their Blade Sect had just been killed in just one blow. If it was not for the fact that they witnessed this with their own eyes, they would not have believed it. Soon after, the sect leader of Saber Sect regained his senses and pointed a trembling finger at Duan Ling Tian. He asked with a horrified expression, "Why you have broken through to the martial monarch stage? Do you want to give it a go as well?" Duan Ling Tian, who had just killed the sect leader of Sword Sect with just one punch, licked his dry lips as he looked at the sect leader of Saber Sect with interest. The moment the latter heard this, he immediately shut his mouth and no longer dared to utter another word. At this moment, everyone, be it Feng Wu Dao, Sword 13 or Saber 5, was staring at Duan Ling Tian in disbelief. They did not expect Duan Ling Tian's strength would be so terrifying now. He killed the sect leader of Sword Sect, a person who was at the peak of the void, with just one punch. Since the Blade Sect is neither virtuous or righteous, there's no reason for me to remain here any longer. Feng Wu Dao looked slightly enraged as he announced coldly that he was leaving the Blade Sect. I used to be a Blade Sect's disciple? Feng Tianwu muttered and quickly followed suit to announce. In that case, from now onward, I no longer have anything to do with the Blade Sect. Feng Wu Dao and his daughter both announced their departure from the Blade Sect. Duan Ling Tian looked at Sword 13 as he said, "Senior, I still remember that I owe you a debt of gratitude. Today, I won't cause any trouble for the Blade Sect for your sake. However, the debt of gratitude and revenge offset each other. There's no longer any debt between us." His voice was calm and cold. Honestly, he was very disappointed when he found out it was Blade Sect that disclosed his background to the 3 great second-rate forces. Naturally, the person he was most disappointed in was Sword 13. Other than Feng Wu Dao, who joined the Blade Sect later on, he only acknowledged Sword 13 alone among all the Blade Sect's senior officials. This was because Sword 13 had saved his life twice before. A good deed had to be repaid by many-fold, let alone a debt of life. However, he only wanted to sever his relationship with Sword 13 now. Sigh. Sword 13 opened his mouth, seemingly about to say something. Alas, no words left his mouth at all. All that could be heard was just a sigh. Duan Ling Tian, you've misunderstood my master. At this moment, a voice reverberated in the air, followed by the appearance of a figure. It was a young man whom Duan Ling Tian was familiar with. It was Su Li. Misunderstood. Duan Ling Tian frowned. A hint of bafflement could be seen in his eyes. Su Li nodded before he quickly explained. Actually, from the very beginning until the end, Master did not agree with disclosing your background because he didn't want any harm to befall you. However, the sect leader of Sword Sect, who had long known about your background, ignored Master's advice and told them everything. Master had no say at all from the beginning until the end. He did not betray you, Su Li said in one breath. I'm sorry, senior. The moment Su Li finished his words, Duan Ling Tian fell silent for a moment before he looked at Sword 13 apologetically. I'll repay you for the things that you've done for me, senior, on the premise that you no longer stay in this cold-blooded blade sect. Moreover, I'm certain the sect leader of Sword Sect was not the only one who had a say at that time. When Duan Ling Tian reached the end of his sentence, he began to study the sect leader of Saber Sect who looked a little guilty and the group of Blade Sect senior officials, including Saber 5. Although the Blade Sect senior officials were unhappy with Duan Ling Tian's scrutiny, none of them dared to express their displeasure at all. What a joke! Did they not witness the scene of Duan Ling Tian killing the sect leader of Sword Sect, who was at the peak of the void, in just one punch? Even if they collectively attacked him, they would only be given a one-way ticket to hell. Su Li, this Blade Sect is so ruthless that they might even betray you and your relatives in the future. Why don't you follow me? Duan Ling Tian looked at Su Li. Believe me, if you follow me, you'll have a brighter future waiting for you. Duan Ling Tian. Su Li shook his head. If Master had also betrayed you, I would follow you. However, Master didn't betray you. He did not let me down at all. Even if there's nothing else, just the gratitude for Master's teachings all these years, I'll choose to remain here. Su Li smiled when he reached the end of his sentence. There were no regrets contained in his smile at all.